Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm PJ Dudek, and I'm kicking off a new Dune series similar to the one I did for Dune Book 1, but this one is based off of Dune Messiah, which is the second book in the series. Some of you might know that there is a new Dune movie, Dune 3, coming out in 2026 of this year in December, and it is based off of the book Dune Messiah. So I thought I'd give it a read. Just like with Dune Book 1, I have never read through the series before, so this will be my first time reading through Messiah. And unlike Dune 1, where I had seen the movie and had an idea of what I was getting into in terms of the book, Dune Messiah, I have no real point of reference for, except for reading through a few notes about what the Dune series is ultimately about. So I'm excited to jump into this with you all. Before we get into that, I'm a sci fantasy author, same genre of Frank Herbert, amongst other authors. And my series, The Song of Immaru, is going to be available summer of 2026. So if you'd like to learn more, check out my website, www.pjdudek.com, and I'll keep you up to date on all of the happenings there. So onward to Dune Messiah. Now, I'm going to have to cheat a little bit because this book actually starts with a chapter 0, sort of a introduction discussion between Bronzo of IX, or 9, I'm not sure, and a Fremen. And Bronzo is a historian, and he is writing about Paul Atreides, or Muad'Dib. And Paul, of course, is the main character from Dune Book 1. He has taken over the universe from the previous emperor, and he's kicking off a jihad with the Fremen. Bronzo is telling this Fremen guard, much to that guard's dismay, that Paul is sort of taking a weird path and strongly suggesting that the leadership is starting to go to his head. He's becoming much less of a hero and more of a conniving political force. Then we actually jump into chapter 1. And by the way, these books don't have chapter numbers, which is a little annoying. But this first chapter moves from a discussion with Bronzo to actually more of some of his writings or analysis. He talks about and really just foreshadows what's going to happen to Paul. Since this happens at the beginning of the book, I guess there's no need for me to say spoilers, but Bronzo tells us that Paul looks like he ultimately fails as a leader. And this is in large part because he has, even at the beginning of book 1, begun his political leanings by marrying Princess Aurelian, who was the emperor's daughter. And that kind of sets him up to be more of a out of the gate established leader with some influence, basically marrying into royalty type of situation. Beyond that, though, there's an extremely powerful force in this universe, and that is the Spacing Guild. And Bronzo suggests that as Paul's role continued, they get heavily involved and start messing things up. And my guess is that's going to be a big part of Dune Messiah. Now, what's going to be interesting is Dune 1, the movie, actually, Dune 1 and 2, really didn't emphasize the Spacing Guild that much, but they were quite the force, if not maybe the ultimate force, ruling things behind the scenes in the book. So I'm excited to see how that actually goes. But beyond that, of course, any ruler is going to find themselves dealing with a lot of different enemies. There's also the Bene Gesserit, and Bronzo tells us about something called a Bene Tilax that's going to give Paul trouble, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I'll correct it in the future. These have something to do with face dancer disguises, so I'm sure that's going to come up in this book as well. There's also the notion of golas, which are essentially sounds like resurrected people or ghosts, and Duncan Idaho looks like he's going to be back and causing some havoc. And the chapter also just kind of shares a little bit more about Paul's history of how he became the Muad'Dib to the Fremen, gained power, but part of that was because he was heavily influenced by the Bene Gesserit's breeding program, which gave him sort of these strange powers, which is called seeing. It's a lot like the Force in Star Wars. He can kind of command people through his voice. And yeah, and it's just from here, it's off to the races. So I'm not sure like how this book is going to be written, if it's more of an actual story format or it's going to be told more through this Bronzo guy's perspective, kind of written out like a history book. But it's compelling so far. It's an interesting choice always to kind of for the author to spoil what's going to happen right at the beginning of the book. But I think Herbert's a little bit, he writes good stories, but he's a little more into the the principles behind the stories, and I think the start to end narrative flow. But it's compelling thus far. I'm looking forward to getting into the next chapters. And yeah, if you would be interested in continuing this journey with me, of course, please like this video, comment, share your thoughts on Dune. If you read Dune Messiah, please let me know what your thoughts are, especially the beginning of the book. Also, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, take care. Bye.